Hey everybody, Payments Professor here, and I want to welcome you to the Payments Podium. Today, in this episode, we're actually going to kick off a series where we're going to go through and learn more about payment associations in the U.S., who they are, what they do, more importantly, what they can do for you. And to start off this series, we got Pam Rodriguez from SFE. And Pam, I want to welcome you to the Payments Podium.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I'm honored to be on stage with you as always, and looking forward to our little fireside chat today.
All right, first question's really an easy one. What exactly is a payment association? I mean, if we're going to start off this series on payment associations, can you explain what a payment association is to people out there listening?
Certainly can. I've been in the payment association space since 2001 when I started at what was formerly known as ALACHA, the Alabama ACH Association. I am here in Birmingham, Alabama. But there are 10 payment associations that are direct members of NACHA. And collectively, we are known as the Center for Payments, and we support financial institution members and non-financial institution members in the electronic payment space, with our core focus being ACH, but we all dabble in remote deposit capture, wire transfers, and of course, instant payments. And our primary objective is to educate and keep our members in compliance and aware and in tune with everything going on in electronic payments. And we all offer audits and assessments for all the different payment rails. I hope that we do a lot, but that sums it up.
I think that does about sum it up. So let's get a little bit more specific. If that's, generic, what a payment association is, what payment association do you represent?
Southern Financial Exchange. And
okay.
Go ahead.
Where would that be? Southern Financial Exchange. With these associations, why are there 10? What would it mean for Southern Financial Exchange if, like, say, I'm a bank or a credit union somewhere in the United States listening to this? What does that mean to me?
Well, historically, the way the payment associations began, and back in 01, I can tell you there were 19, and now we're down to 10, because as financial institutions have merged, and so have the payment associations. So historically, the traditional footprint was lines in the sand, if you will, governed by the Fed district that supported that area. So here at Southern Financial Exchange, we do have our corporate headquarters are in New Orleans, and our traditional footprint, if you will, is Louisiana, South Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, a chunk of Tennessee, and some of Arkansas. And so that really, all 10 of us have what I'll call the traditional payment association footprint. But we do have members that are outside of that, just depending on, some financial institutions are members of more than one payment association.
Okay, so they're members. They're not like really customers. They're members. So does that mean that they join and become part of the association? How does that work?
Yes, these payment associations are 501c6, not-for-profit trade associations, and member-based. And so our members, our financial institution members, pay annual dues, which gives them discounted pricing for our training, for our audits and assessments, and also access to our payments answer line, where they have access to 6 payments professionals for any questions that our members may have related to electronic payments.
Wait, I got a question about this answer line thing. So this answer line, you said anything related to electronic payments. For example, I'm a bank or credit union in Mississippi. You said that's one of the areas
Yes.
that you give a lot of coverage to. And I call in because I got a problem with an ACH return. I'm trying to figure out what do I do with this return? Are you going to be able to help me with that? And is that answer line going to be able to do something with
Absolutely. Every day, multiple calls, and we never know what we're going to get. I took one this week on question about third-party sender, a financial institution looking at onboarding a third-party sender and wanting to know, how do I know if this is a third-party sender? So we get a lot of, interestingly, and I think all the payment associations, a lot lately check fraud type questions. So any question, we're here. Extension 1010 is our payments answer line, and here to.
Well, what's the phone number? If you're going to tell us the extension, what's the phone number?
1-800-626-4SFE. And that.
An extension 1010. Okay, but you do have to be a member for that, correct?
Yes. That's a member benefit. And so I'll translate that, 1-800-626-4733. But I really like that our toll-free number ties into our acronym.
Here, I got another question, though, because you even mentioned just now third-party senders. And a lot of the Payments Professor followers are fintechs as well as financial institutions. And we talked about how you do serve banks and credit unions. Do you work with those fintechs, with those third-party service providers, and help them as well?
Absolutely. That's kind of my favorite space, if you will. Been wearing that crown of thorns for third-party senders in fintechs. But I'm currently working with a fintech that wants some consulting to build out their own ACH platform. So I'm very excited about that opportunity to work with a bunch of programmers. And you know, Kevin, I love reading the file formats, the rule book. I know I'm such a geek. The pages nobody wants to go to. So yes, we do have members that are fintechs. And matter of fact, last week we partnered with one of our sister payment associations, UMACHA, the Upper Midwest ACH Association, and offered our very first FinTech third-party symposium with Lee Weatherington opening up. So that was a lot of fun last Thursday.
Wow, I wish I could have caught that. If anybody listening, if you don't know Lee Weatherington, you need to go check him out. And we'll be having UMACHA actually will be participating in this series too to help learn who they are. Another question I got to ask about those services that you just said consulting right there, that you're consulting with a third party. I'm assuming you consult with banks and credit unions too. When you go in and consult, I mean, what does that mean? What consulting services do you actually offer?
I like to frame it up like this, and some of our audience may not be able to relate to this, but I look at myself as Julie on the Love Boat and the cruise director. You know, because really, and I'm working with one of our credit union members right now on developing a payment strategy. And thank you, Kevin. We do partner with you and have our VIP series, and they've engaged in that training as well. And when I went on site, and they're in New Orleans, and working with them, I found that they had a lot of questions and sometimes just didn't know who to go to at these different entities. And I shared with my sister payment associations a few weeks ago, we all were in Chicago. And I said, what I think the payment associations really can bring to the table is we're working with FIs on payment strategy or consulting on other things, is we know if we don't have the answers, we have the relationships, and we know who to go to in the industry to make things happen.
So you really are like the go-to if there's ever a question related to anything electronic payments for your members.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I got another one too, because you mentioned a lot of services. I mean, I was frantically having to write some things down here. And I heard in their audit and risk assessment services. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, when I talk to most people about audit and risk assessments, they make these weird, funny faces like, oh, I hate that. I don't want to have to do that. Or what do I need to get it done? There's so much confusion around there. What is it when it comes to audit and risk assessments that you can do for people that are listening? And can you also tell us like the payment channels you can provide those services for?
Sure, and thank you for asking. So again, as I said a moment ago, we're not just ACH focused. We do remote deposit capture for mobile, merchant, consumer audits and assessments, wire transfer, and I'm very proud and honored to share that we're payments pioneers here at SFE. We did our first RTP risk assessment in January. So we are instant payment audit and risk assessment enabled.
Okay, so any of those payment channels, if somebody needs to have an audit or a risk assessment, you can help them with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, what if it's somebody listening? This is actually probably a really easy question for a veteran like you, but I get this one every now and then. What's the difference between an audit and a risk assessment, and why do I have to do both?
And I love this. So, my background is really audit, and I get super charged up. So an audit is testing and verification, whereas a risk assessment is assessing and reviewing the effectiveness of your internal controls and risk rating those. And so depending on the assessor, I'm probably a hard grader. You could have two people doing the same assessment and come up with maybe slightly different results because it is more subjective.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of things. You got that answer line, you got the consulting, you got these risk assessments and audits. But here's another thing. What if I just don't know anything about payments? What if, I just started working at a bank or a credit union, even one of those fintechs that's out there, and suddenly, I mean, this has actually personally happened to me. I remember it was day one of my first job in the electronic payments world. I worked for a company called Gold Leaf in South Georgia. Day one, they came and handed me, it was then the ACH rules, before it became the NACHA operating rules, big, thick book, and said, go figure this out. And I went home and cried because I was like, what am I supposed to do with this big book? I don't understand it. What if somebody else out there is listening and saying, hey, I've got to learn these payment channels, these rules. Can you help them out?
Great question. We just introduced a new member benefit this year. And all of our members now have access to payment channels in the US, your video series. And so they are enjoying that. It's a great way to get a high level overview of all the different rails. And so thank you for asking that.
Do you have other education beyond the video series that you offer?
For payment channels?
Yeah, for any of the payment channels.
Yeah. We have basics. We actually have a roadmap. I've been asked to, create a roadmap, say for somebody that wants to become certified. And we all are offering the Faster Payments Professional Certificate Program is out, Module 1 and Module 2. With Module 3 being ready before the end of the year. And then NACHA will be offering a Faster Payments Professional Certification exam right now targeted for first quarter 2025.
So that's a certificate and a certification program. And, I hear all the time and even tell people all the time, you really want to improve your career. You want to get, go up the ladder in your career too. You need to get some certifications. So you mentioned the Faster Payment Professional Certificate, which will turn into a certification in the future. You offer that training. Are there any other certifications that people could come to SFE that you'd be able to help them to get?
Yes, we are in the midst of an AAP, accredited ACH professional training series to help our members be successful in passing that exam in October. We also, the accredited payments risk professional, the APRP certification, and NCP, the National Check Professional certification. And so here at Southern Financial Exchange, we have 3 APRPs on staff. All 6 of us are AAPs. We have 2 NCPs, and then on the audit staff, we have a couple of certified internal auditors, and I have my certification in information systems audit.
Wow, that's a lot of certification for one organization, but it does show too just how important that certification is. All right, something else I want to ask about. All right, you're telling me you've got these educational courses like the video series, things like that, and these online this stuff. Do you ever have events where people can just come see you? Because I'm one of those people. I like to be in person. I like to be able to network, do some relationship building, and then learn from people right there in person. Do you ever do anything like that?
Yes, we had our annual conference back in April at Perdido Beach Resort. And like you say, I prefer in person and that networking and just so many great comments and testimonials on all the exhibitors that we had, a great lineup of speakers. Mark your calendars out there, save the date next year, April 15th through the 17th. We'll be doing it again at the beach, and so looking forward to that. So yes, we do enjoy the face-to-face and interaction with the members, the speakers, and our partners.
Perdido Beach Resort, it sounds more like I get to have a vacation and get to learn about electronic payments all at once. That's fantastic. All right, is there any of the services or anything that I missed that SFE offers or does for people?
I think you've done a nice job in asking me, summarizing it. The answer line we talked about, the audits. And we do. This just popped in my mind, but we do customized training. If your financial institution says, hey, I've got a group of, 10 people I want trained, and like you said, payment basics, we can tailor a training session, unique to what your training needs are. So we call that customized training. We can come on site or we can do that virtually. We do offer training for what your originators need to know to help our ODFIs keep their customers in compliance. And so, yes, thank you for asking. The customized training is very popular.
All right, that's a lot of stuff right there. Answer line, consulting, risk assessments, audit services, education of all different levels on all different payment channels, helping and assisting in achieving the certifications, the in-person conferences. I think the next question that somebody out here is listening to, especially if they're in one of those areas that you mentioned, like Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, parts of even Tennessee, they're probably going, where do I go to learn more? So you gave us the phone number. Is there a website or anything we should know about?
sfe.org. And if you want to know more about our conference and, this past year's, this year's, and next year's, that is sfeannual.org. That's the conference website. And I also want to mention another little thing that we do that a lot aren't aware of is a banking law service. We've partnered with Adams and Reese, Paul Karuba, Scott Jones. So on our website, you can go there if you have a payments related legal type question, because we're not lawyers here. And when we get those types of requests, we forward that on to Scott Jones. And if he can answer the question, with very little research, it's a member benefit. It's complimentary.
That's really cool because I know so much of these rules, regulations, everything's written in legalese. It gets so confusing. And plus, it always depends on the situation. So to be able to have an attorney like, especially Scott Jones, Adams, and Reese, he's amazing. That is an incredible service to offer. Well, Pam, I want to thank you for being on the Payments Podium and helping to educate everybody on, you started us off on what's a payment association, on what SFE is and everything that they do. For those of you out there listening, you got the phone number, you got the website. If you need to get a hold of Pam and you can't find her on LinkedIn, trust me, she's out there, then you can always email me, kevin@paymentsprofessor.com, and I'll make sure to get you in touch with SFE and with Pam. Also, if there's a topic or maybe there's a speaker, somebody that you think should be featured on the Payments Podium, email me, kevin@paymentsprofessor.com. I'll do my best to make sure that they get on the podium and get a chance to be able to educate all of us. But for now, I get to say, class dismissed.